What I'm about to do is take you through a stretch series aimed at attacking one of the more common flexibility and mobility issues for golfers. A lot of us have an inability to properly separate our torso and our pelvis with our shoulder turn and the rotation. And here's how we're going to attack that. We're going to go through a combined series of mobility exercises followed up with static stretching. A mobility exercise is a movement where we actively take a muscle through its range of motion as opposed to stretching and holding it. Now, the combination of these two activities to gain more flexibility yields better results. Now, a little bit more on being able to separate your torso and your pelvis. If you struggle to do this, we know that we're going to see some common swing faults. First and foremost, if you cannot separate, you're going to have a hard time maintaining your posture. You're going to lose your posture. You're going to lift up out of your spine angle on the backswing. You may also early extend, lift up out of your posture on the downswing. We also know that if you have a hard time separating, you're more likely to introduce lateral movement into your swing, and then we start to see those sway and slide swing faults, which leads to shot inconsistencies, which we definitely don't want if we're looking to become a better player. So let's get started on this stretch series, and here's what we're going to begin with. First and foremost, I'm going to get you to lay on your back. Your feet bent up to about 45 degrees. You can take your hands, place them up above your chest as such. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drop our legs and arms across the body in opposite directions. So I'm going to start with my right hand and my knees. I'm going to simply take my arm, drop it over behind me, keep the other arm up, and bring it back up. Knees go in the opposite direction, and I've got to try to maintain the contact of my shoulders with the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and do 10 of these on each side so you can follow along with me. Try to get the elbow up above the shoulder. That's going to help stretch out the chest, give you a little bit better shoulder range of motion. At the same time, we're working on torso and pelvis separation. 3, 2, and 1. Now we're going to do the same thing in the opposite direction. I'm going to go left hand, legs drop to the right. Again, hands up above the elbow, keeping both shoulder blades in contact with the ground, working on our separation and getting a little bit more range of motion in our shoulder and our chest. 6 more. 5, 4, really reach up and behind that shoulder. 3, try to get the knees closer to the floor with every rep. 2, and 1. Now I want you to place your hands out on the floor, in line with your shoulders, palms up towards the ceiling, and lift the knees up to 90 degrees. Maintain that 90-degree bend at your hip and your knee. Now we're going to do what's called a hip crossover. This is going to help get your torso and your pelvis a bit better separated again. Okay, we're simply going to drop the legs over to the opposite side, bring them back to center, drop them over to this side, and repeat, side to side. And just try to move a little further into it each time. Left and a right being 1. Trying not to walk. My shoulder blades are staying in contact with the ground at all times as we work through 10. When you've completed your 10 reps, we're going to move into a static stretch, a hip crossover stretch. Now what we're going to do is take our opposite hand, keeping that thigh up at about 90 degrees. We're going to pull it towards our chest and across the body, keeping the opposite shoulder blade in contact with the ground. You should feel a good stretch across your lower back and through the hip on that right side. And you're simply going to hold that for about 30 seconds or 10 breaths. A little bit longer if you want to get a little bit better stretch. And then we're going to come in and we're going to repeat the process on the other side right here. So just go ahead and pull that across as such and hold for 30 seconds or 10 breaths, keeping the opposite shoulder tight to the floor or the ground where you're working. This is a static stretch. The first 2 exercises we gave you were mobility exercises. They involve movement, as we explained earlier. Now what we're going to do is move into our next little grouping of 3 exercises. I've got a little pillow here. You can use a rolled up towel if you're at home. And we're going to do what's called an open book. This is going to help us with our separation, but also our shoulder range of motion as well. 45-degree angle on the thighs, palms together. You're going to keep your eyes looking straight ahead like this. We're simply going to take that top hand, we're going to keep the elbows slightly bent, and we're going to reach back as far as we comfortably can. We're going to bring the hands right back together. We're going to perform 10 of those on each side. Help open up that chest a little bit. Breathe into the extension component. Work to gradually get that hand closer to the ground each time. We got 5 more to go here. Elbow stays bent so we can stretch out that chest a little bit better and keep the elbow above the shoulder. 2, and 1. We're going to go ahead and perform the same exercise on the opposite side. We'll just move our pillow over here. As such, hands together, knees at 45, and we're going to take our hand, open it up, straight back, eyes front. Don't move them. Breathing into it, keeping that elbow above the shoulder, working to get closer to the ground each time. Get a bit better range of motion in that shoulder, helping to separate our torso and our pelvis. Remember to keep the knees on the ground. We'll do 5 more. 4. 3, again, I'm exhaling into it. 2, not lifting my head or turning my head. And 1, now I'm going to turn over on my back. Legs out straight, palms up towards the ceiling or the sky. I'm going to perform what's called a leg over. Again, we're going to continue to work on separation as I discussed earlier. Simply lift that leg up and then reach up and over as far as you can go without lifting the opposing shoulder off the ground. Put it down and repeat. 8, 7, good job. And you're going to breathe into it. 6, each and every time you lift that leg up and over. Don't worry if you can't get this far. You want to try to get a little bit closer to your hand each rep. Again, without letting the other shoulder lift up or we don't get the benefit of separation. 1 more. There we go, right to the hand. So we're going to try the same thing on the other side. With a little bit of practice, you'll get more flexible and you'll have better separation. So take the time to work on it. So we're going to go up and over again. Slowly working through it. 8, breathe into it. 7, 6, 5 more, and again, I'm progressively working up towards my hand with my toe. 4, 3, 2, and we got 1 left to go here. You can do more or less reps depending on how much time you have. Focus on quality, not quantity here. Now what we're going to do is add a static stretch. This one's called the open book rib cage stretch. So what we need to do is get laid out on our side, put the bottom leg out flat, take your opposite hand, grab the thigh. Now what I want you to do is slide the other hand around behind your back. Hold that thigh close to the floor, and you're going to pull the rib cage back. You should get the sensation of really separating your torso and your pelvis. You can use a pillow if you want to support your head here for comfort. I'm just going to hold that position for about 30 seconds or 10 breaths. You should feel that stretch down across your obliques, your lower back, and your hip. Okay, repeat that 2 or 3 times on each side. And work to get a little bit further each time. We're going to go do 1 more here. Continue to breathe through it. Hold that thigh in contact and really try to rotate the chest, keeping the eyes front. Again, that's going to give us a little bit better separation. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We'll just go ahead and move our little pillow over to the other side. And we'll repeat the same stretch. Bottom legs out straight, top legs out flat. You're going to have to lift your body up to get your hand beneath you. Hold the thigh down, eyes front. Simply turn the body at that separation stretch. You should feel a good separation in the mid to lower spine. And you'll feel the muscles at the base of your spine and across the hip lengthening out as you do this. Okay, we'll do 1 more, and again, we're looking for about 10 breaths, 30-second holds, a little longer. If you're really not getting good separation, you need to work a little bit more on this stretch. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Half kneeling position. I want you to lunge forward. Then what I want you to do is tuck your tailbone under to intensify the stretch on your hip flexor. Then we're going to go a step further, and we're going to reach up and across our body. And we're going to hold that for about 10 seconds. Breathing into it. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll relax. We're going to lunge a little further forward. We're going to tuck our tailbone in, get that pelvis underneath you. That's going to intensify the stretch. Brace our body, reach up and across, and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's do the same sequence on the other side. Right leg up. We'll start by lunging forward until we feel that stretch across the front of our left hip. We're going to tuck our tailbone in to intensify that stretch. Brace our body with the opposite hand. Simply reach up and over just like that and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring it back up. Take a little bit bigger step forward. Tuck that tailbone in, rolling your pelvis down and back. Then we're going to reach up and across the body. Really get a good stretch through those hip flexors and hold again for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So try that sequence as often as you can to improve the separation between your torso and your pelvis. I think you're going to find you'll be better able to hold your posture throughout the full range of motion of your golf swing. And if you do suffer from the sway and slide swing faults, that's a lateral motion in your golf swing, the better able you become to separate your torso from your pelvis, the less likely you are to move laterally. Enjoy that sequence. Remember, practice often.